So here we are in Nîmes, and we're in the big amphitheatre, the Roman amphitheatre.
Which apparently is one of the best preserved in the whole world.
Yeah, it reminds me actually of the one in Rome, the Colosseum. From the outside, it looks very similar. So both of us have just come in and been guided to do a clearing.
Especially as this was built 2,000 years ago, so pretty much around the time of Mary Magdalene and Christ. It was finished, I think, in it was like 2000 AD, wasn't it? I think
something like 2000 AD. You might be able to hear.
Not 2000 AD. We're 2000
2000
AD.
BC.
No. 2,000 years ago.
2,000 years ago. Anyway,
so about 18 BC.
Whatever, 2,000 years
finished.
ago.
And it was Julius Caesar that had come over, and it was his son Augustus. And who knew that actually this part of France was part of Rome at that point? It was, and they named it a colony.
Yeah.
So Rome had a very, very extensive reach at that point.
You might be able to hear the clash of swords and kids screaming. They're actually teaching kids how to sword fight. I mean, it's still going on today.
They
Teach kids about killing each other.
No.
But we've both been guided to sort of tune in and do a bit of a clearing. So we're a bit knackered. We've been at this all day. We're a bit like, now when do we get to go and have a glass of wine and like chill out? So Laurie, what did you pick up in here?
Yeah, well, we've been listening to the recording and I hadn't realised that actually this part of France was part of Rome back in the day. This was built about 2,000 years ago, so obviously part of our tour is working with the time of Mary Magdalene and Jesus being around in this area, and so this building was constructed exactly at that point, and we just knew that we had to come in and clear some energies. Obviously this is a space that was devoted to human suffering and entertainment through people killing each other, which even to this day every TV programme that you watch nowadays is about someone's been killed or is killing somebody, and it hurts my head that that's what we are amused by. But here it was so blatant because it literally was people being pitted against each other. And one of the commentaries talked about the fact that they had to test the weapons to show the people who'd been waiting all day that these weapons were ready, which meant that they were really, really sharp.
They were sharp and deadly, yeah.
And so just the idea of men having to come in here, men and animals actually, having to come in and be pitted against each other while people cheered on and thought that that was entertainment. I mean, it's just people suffering and hurting each other, just ridiculous. So I tuned into the energies that were here, and there were layers. So there were those that died feeling confused and in fear, huge amounts of fear, and so souls got stuck. Then there were the ones that died feeling guilty, the ones that had actually they'd had to go into anger, they'd had to go into kind of rage, because it was, as you said, it was kill or be killed, so they had no choice, they just had to do it. But guilt for the survivors, so that then when they died they carried that guilt with them and would potentially have been stuck here. Then there were actually the souls of the animals that had been involved in this that didn't want to participate, and all of the horror that they'd experienced. So I cleared all of those layers. Then it was the participants, it was the bloodlust and the bloodthirsty audiences of all ranges, from the rich and the poor, whose souls had somehow become entangled or had picked up spirit attachments, who then meant that they were attached to the arena as well. And then the final level was this really dark, really murky, horrible, it was almost like a serpenty energy that had been feeding on the blood, because they kept turning the sand over to mask the smell and to try to hide the
How
the
is
blood
that
flow.
entertainment? It's gross.
Imagine in the hot sun.
Yuck.
Anyway, this thing had literally been feeding on the energy, it had been feeding on the fear, it had been feeding on literally the blood that had been coming in here, and that was pretty disgusting. And so I had to literally draw that up out of the earth. And then, of course, I had to, part of it is forgiving all of these souls, forgiving them because they were just doing what they thought was normal. Forgive them and send them home to the light. Just bathe them in light and send them home. It's enough, And then there was a contract that was linked to entertainment via human suffering. which, if you figure, it's still going on all over the world now. And as I said, entertainment seems to be all about that. Every other show is a murder show.
It is. It's machine gun fire coming
Yeah.
through the screen,
Yeah.
and even though they'd call it acting, I mean, it incites violence. It
Yeah.
incites people to want to go out
exactly.
and kill each
The
other.
idea that it's not implanting it in the consciousness that all you ever watch is people murdering each other in some form or another just hurts my head, really. It's just ridiculous.
And in fact, there's more violence and murder on TV than there are sex scenes. Sex is
Yeah.
actually more prohibited.
Yeah.
And funny that, because sex is actually sacred and pleasurable and usually based on love. So they call it, they say that it's not appropriate, yet
Yeah.
they'll have people lopping off each other's heads and
I know.
and have shoot-em-ups and car chases.
So the new contract, which it will be received by those who are ready and want to receive it, was about human experiences, and it was more about love and humour and comedy. Which, why isn't that entertainment? Why
more
isn't that the
funny.
basis of our entertainment?
I know, it's like harmless fun. It's much better. Oh, thank you, Laurie. My arm's getting sore holding the camera. Well, I tuned in and straight away I got a beautiful lion, like a huge spirit lion that had obviously been here for quite some time and was possibly a bit of a guardian. And so he kind of came in and was like put forehead to my forehead and then went off into the light. And then I got shown a past life that this one and I had as two gladiators, two slaves, really, that had come from different countries, so we couldn't speak the same language. One felt a bit kind of Greek or Macedonian, I don't know where the other one was from. And it was the idea that you had to disidentify with the humanity of the other person in order to kill them, because it was kill or be killed. And this goes on in the world today, on the world stage still, in wars, and this is a huge big contract that you have to step on somebody else in order to succeed, or you have to kill somebody else in order to succeed and survive. So I had to clear all of that. So obviously between us, but then it was also for the collective, so it was all about, kill or be killed. There were so many other bits to it too, but that was sort of the main gist of it. So
I'm glad I don't have to kill you now.
no, well, this is the thing. This is what we're here to do, to clear. So obviously we'd had a contract in that life to understand what it was all about, to actually be part of it. And presumably now we're here to release that karma, working together as women as well.
Yes, I know.
Very. And again, with the whole time we've been here, we've been guided by Mary Magdalene, and it has all been about love, hasn't it? And it's been all about the truth. So we're going to carry on exploring. If we find anything else, we shall keep you updated. So we've just reached the site of the foot of the walk, or the bottom of the walk, up to the grotto of Mary Magdalene in St. Balm. You can see the sign behind us here. We're not sure how long it's going to take. I've read various things that say it takes 45 minutes, but we've got a message that it's not actually going to take that long. So
we're going to hike, and I've just in my little bit of French that I have just also other people that are walking in the area, and they have assured me that it is this way. So we've been kind of driving,
and we're wearing gold and silver shoes in her honour.
To do the hike,
as only ladies would do on a hike. I actually wore these gold shoes hiking the Atlas Mountains recently, so I know that they can do it.
So we'll let you know what we find.
Let you know what's at the top. So we're walking up the path, and we've just seen two red monarch butterflies.
Literally
one each.
But then came and they were playing together, and they just flew around our ankles.
I got circled. It was gorgeous.
So it's quite a hike.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We can do it.
We'll get there. She is calling us.
We're still climbing.
Still going.
Still going.
Got a way to go, we think.
Very much uphill. But a little bit like months ago, it feels like it's meant to be, because anything that you do that's worth it requires effort. So
yeah. My calf muscles feel really like unnaturally tight. It's like, are you going to prove your medal and make it up the hill?
So we're going to keep climbing.
Okay.
Onwards,
Keep going.
onwards.
Ceremonial bathing before being greeted by the mother. Feels good, Larry.
It's cold.
Onwards with the journey. We've come at just the right time because there's a lot of people leaving. I'm wondering if there was an early morning group or something, or a mass said here.
So we did it, and it was meant to be silent, not that we were completely silent, nobody really was up there. So we did do a little bit of filming, but it was very surreptitious, so it was mainly photographs really, wasn't it? We didn't want to, it's a sacred space, so but we did it. So we're now running down the hill, because now we have to get to the final piece, which is the Church of
The Basilica of Maximin.
Maximin.
I
The
think.
Baum, where they claim. Oh, and there were some relics up there that they said were of Mary Magdalene. We don't think
it was.
We checked.
But it was still of a woman. It's said to be a Jewish woman, and
at that time,
obviously...
no, that's not that one. That's the Jewish woman who's in the church.
Well, who's that one?
It just said it was meant to be a relic of Mary Magdalene.
It's probably a piece of the one that's in the church.
I know, it probably is a piece of the one that's in the church. Yeah. So that's right. They tested it, wasn't it? She was of Jewish origin.
Yeah.
Of that time.
But also, again, it's a message that all women are sacred. We're all the Holy Grail.
Exactly.
We're all the Christ.
Yeah.
Even men and women are the Christ. It's just you have to tap into that energy. So we honour the woman whose relic it is, but it just the energy didn't feel.
No,
it wasn't Mary Magdalene.
Church we're going to, they reckon that they have they found the whole body of Mary. It's meant to be the skeleton, the preserved body of Mary Magdalene. We don't think it is, but we will go and find out.
We'll tune in and we'll see. But it was like a message. There were some beautiful statues of her. There was a statue of Saint Joan of Arc as well, and a statue of Mary Magdalene kneeling at the foot of the cross of Christ. And I just kept thinking, it feels like a major metaphor for all women kind of kneeling at the feet of the patriarchy and saying, acknowledge me, see me as an equal. It's
absolutely, and that was the message that I got in there. That again, men wouldn't exist without women. It's
like, your mother's people.
Bit of the patriarchy doesn't get that they're equal, different but equal, and it feels like even in that split, it's like a cosmic joke. That split of man versus woman, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be honouring and supporting and being equal. and completing. Not, I hate that. It's like that Jerry Maguire thing. You
complete me.
It's not that, but it is the balance of the masculine and the feminine. And that, yes, people are supposed to come together and unite, but it doesn't mean that one has power or can dominate or invade or just, one over the other.
Repress the other. Yeah.
So anyway.
In love, if it's that thing, isn't it? If a woman is cherished, if a woman feels loved and honoured, she'll give herself to you. She'll be yours forever.
Absolutely.
She will honour you and devote herself to you. And then you can feel even more empowered. It's the disempowerment, not just of women, but of the feminine, of the innocent, of love energy that has caused so many problems in this world. So again, I know we bang on about it, but this is the truth that needs to be revealed on this planet. It's all love, people. Love, love, love.
Anyway, we have to run
go.
because we're on another deadline, running again against the clock. So.
Down the mountain when we run. La, la, la. So we're now just driving to St. Maximin, the Basilica of Mary Magdalene in St. Bon. And we're on the way there now. It is 3:20 in the afternoon. Our flight goes at 9 p.m. tonight from Marseille. So let's just see. Hopefully we will get everywhere we need to be in the nick of time. Well, actually with more time to spare, hopefully. But yeah, it's a beautiful day. We're driving through gorgeous French countryside. And we'll update you from the Basilica. Okay, so behind us, you probably can't see it because it's so sunny, the Basilica of St. Maximin and Mary Magdalene. And we went down into the reliquary where her bones are said to be, to find a
skull.
A very nice black skull, she's always depicted carrying a black skull. So we're wondering.
Which we're now wondering who that belongs to. They've said that it's a symbol of knowledge and wisdom, but I've gone beyond believing what they say, and I think it's going to be more than that. I don't think whoever the masters were that started those paintings, the symbolism was multi-layered, so I'm now questioning who that was meant to represent. And we weren't convinced before we came that it was her. I'm still not convinced that it's
I
her,
don't
but
think
I
it's
do
her.
think it was someone connected to her. 1279, the king found the skull in a box down there, and of course it would be very convenient, knowing that it would be a huge pull for pilgrims to come to this area, to say that it was her. They obviously knew that she'd lived here, so it would have been a real coup to have found that. But to be honest, it could have been anybody, unless there were some other bits of proof that they had, some other evidence that it was her.
Yeah, I got a message on the first day that we arrived that it was Martha, her sister. And again, while we were in there, I got a similar channeled message that it was someone in her bloodline.
Yeah.
So I feel like it could have been someone, I mean, it might not be literally in her bloodline, it could have been somebody who was part of her priestesshood, her lineage. Yeah. But it's definitely someone that knew her teachings and knew of her and was part of that tradition.
So we're going to check into it a little bit more, because I think the Martha kind of fits, really, because I don't think she stayed in the cave with them. I think she carried on travelling with the ministry and with the teachings.
Very high energy in there,
It was high
definitely.
energy.
Yeah, but
Again,
not like her, not her energy.
No,
Yeah.
but then just really struck with how vast and how massive this church is. Bearing in mind that in the early years of the church, they had labelled Mary Magdalene as a prostitute, so it's interesting that they built such an incredible temple for a woman that was of loose origin originally. They have since confessed, admitted, not very loudly, that she was not a prostitute and that she was one of the disciples. But it's so vast and it's so grand and it's so over the top and so unnecessary. And as we said, she lived in a cave.
Yeah.
They practiced simplicity. They practiced unity, people, connection.
And no
nothing to do with
either.
hierarchy or vast buildings or huge amounts of wealth. And of course it's nice to have a beautiful space and to have beautiful things in it, and I appreciate that the art and the creating a sanctified, beautiful space is a good idea, but it doesn't need to be 300 foot high, and it doesn't need to be built of the finest marble and covered in gold. And
and when they're flogging little icons about this big for 25 euros, then you question it, right?
It's just all
and
about
it's just
money.
that people will do it because they feel like it's spiritual and has significance.
And that they will receive blessings.
The significance is in your heart. Don't trust me, I'm a shopaholic like the best of them. But it's in your heart.
In your heart. It's in you, and you are just as worthy. And as I always said to the priest when I was growing up, if I need to speak to God, I'm going to talk to him myself. I don't need you to get there for me. Thank you very much. Yeah. So pray wherever you are. Be holy. Be connected. In a field, on a street, wherever.
On a rock.
On a rock.
Yeah. I love that we've got this random van behind us while we're talking. In a van! But and again, yet more evidence of a very pregnant-looking Mary Magdalene in that church.
I've just noticed what we're talking about. The van has written on it, "You, location. You are the location."
You are the location. There you go. Yeah.
There's the message. Always. The signs are everywhere, and you look for them.
Brilliant.
Anyway, we are now going to dash. We've got to get to the airport, and hopefully we will be there in plenty of time to drop off our car, get on the plane, and then come back and see what else we can uncover.
Just saying goodbye to our little car. We've had the cutest little Renault Twingo. And
it's been fantastic. We've loved every minute of it. And
Mary Magdalene colour.
Mary Magdalene. All the way. She supported us all the way. We've literally got back to the airport at the perfect amount of time just to get in and get settled. And it's just been absolutely amazing. We're very grateful for the car and for all of it. Absolutely amazing.
It's been a brilliant impromptu adventure as usual.
Yeah.